Okay, good morning everyone. Welcome to Breckland Council's special cabinet on Monday the 15th of December 2025. It's now 10 a.m, so we'll formally start with today's proceedings. We'll move straight to item 1, apologies for absence. Please, Julie.
Chairman, I have none.
Lovely, thank you very much indeed. Item 2, any urgent business? I've not received any. Item 3, any declarations of interest. If any members have any declarations not already declared for any items pertinent to today's meeting, please make me aware at that relevant item. Item 4, non-members wishing to address the meeting. As always, you are almost welcome to speak on any items today, and thank you for attending. Item 5, Chairman's announcements. I don't have any. So we'll move to the first item of substantive business today, which is the devolution in Norfolk and Suffolk. And I'll ask Councillor Bill Borrett, the Executive Member for Devolution and Local Government Organisation, to present. Bill.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to start with the recommendations that we're here for to say. So the two recommendations that I'm asking for support are that the Cabinet supports the positive vision for devolution as set out in the enclosed Executive Policy Statement, Appendix 1 of this report, and agrees to work with local partners, including the Norfolk and Suffolk Combined Authority, the NSCAA, a future mayor and national partners to encourage a more ambitious long-term aspiration for devolution in the region. And 2, that Cabinet endorses the draft investment prospectus as set out in Appendix 2 and delegates to the Chief Executive in consultation with the leader the consultation and finalisation of the prospectus to be shared and promoted to the Norfolk and Suffolk Combined County Authority alongside any future mayoral candidates and the mayor once they are elected. So what devolution means for Breckland? Given the inherent ambiguity in some of the language used by the government, I believe that a true and successful devolution must contain the following characteristics. It should be substantively led by the transfer of powers and funding from central to local government, rather than created through combining or regionalising existing locally held powers. Whilst there is power and value in local coordination, transformation will come through a genuine shift from national to local. It needs to be part of a whole system commitment to transfer, not constrained to a particular policy area or government department, but forming part of a national programme of challenge around what is best owned locally, regionally, and what's best done nationally, with a presumption towards the local and the regional. It should be a primary vehicle for achieving public sector reform. Devolution should be the engine for thinking differently and creatively, I can't even speak this morning. Creatively, thank you very much, about what public service delivery means and looks like at a local level. It should be a focus of place-based budgeting and a fundamental shift in the way resource meets priority locally. It should be open-minded and evidence-led and strategic about where devolved powers and responsibilities best fit, whether at a mayoral level, a local authority level, or other entities. Devolution should be about enabling the right kind of local entities to meet the needs of the residents. As such, we see developments secured through the upcoming creation of the NSCAA as a potentially positive first step, but it's important that they become the first of many towards a proper devolution of powers to our region. I think there are a couple of things I'd like to highlight. What does Breckland expect? That it takes a truly Norfolk and Suffolk feel and focus. That it works through existing policy, but looks beyond its constraints and frameworks and sets a longer-term vision for the future. I think this is particularly important. And it should include the following. Total fiscal devolution. It should cover housing. It should cover growth and regeneration, health, well-being, justice, energy and the environment, transport and connectivity, strategic infrastructure, and skills, employment and innovation. That is, I understand, quite a long list, but these are all the things that need to be done better at a local level. So the paper is quite long and exhaustive, so I'm not going to go through it all as everybody has seen it, but I think it does it does that comment, it does give you a picture of what it is we're trying to achieve with this paper today. The second part of this paper is the investment prospectus. And these are the projects that Breckland is currently involved in promoting, that it is important that any future mayor or Norfolk and Suffolk Combined Authority is aware and informed of, because these are the things that we feel are very important to the residents of Breckland. And I just list some of the, what we've called the high impact Breckland opportunities, which we are very keen that any mayoral combined authority take up as part of their business, day-to-day business. And they are the Thetford Education Campus, the Snetterton Growth Programme, the Watterton Digital Creative Media Centre, Dereham Town Centre Regeneration Programme, Breckland Link Programme, the Attleborough Link Road, the Swaffham Bypass, Thetford Gateway, the Breckland and Walking and Cycling Network, and the Banham Zoo Renewal Master Plan. And there are further items which are absolutely vital that we need investment to encourage growth and enterprise. Most importantly is the energy infrastructure. This is a huge break on future development in Breckland. The lack of available power for companies is a major hindrance on them setting up and doing business here in Breckland. There are issues around the road network, the rail network, water infrastructure, especially given the large importance of agriculture in this area, is also something that we would very much like the new devolved powers to consider. Digital infrastructure. So given those, I've already talked about skills and training, housing delivery in my introduction, but they also are important too, and they also covered in the investment prospectus. So there is a lot here, and I think there is a lot that can be missed if we don't encourage the mayoral combined authority to think strategically. It's not about an individual list of pet projects. This is the absolutely key fundamentals that underpin the opportunities for future growth and development across the whole of Breckland and Norfolk wider. So I endorse this and I look to Cabinet for their support. Thank you very much.
Lovely, thank you, Bill. Any questions, comments from colleagues? Councillor Hewitt, please.
Thank you, Sam. And in support of this document as presented, I absolutely full-heartedly support both the aspiration, both the ambition, both the vision and the plan behind it, but with frustration. The frustration is not about the strategic focus of the plan. This plan puts Breckland, our residents and our businesses firmly at the centre of Norfolk and firmly at the centre of a devolved authority, reflecting the geography, reflecting the capacity constraints, reflecting and focusing on some of the infrastructure challenges that we need to address as part of that greater authority to ensure that Breckland, whether we are here or not, has and plays an essential role in a greater authority. My frustration is not with the document, it's not with the intent, it's not with the candidates who have agreed to stand up on behalf of the mayoral authority. It's not with the councils who are prepared to pivot and work at pace to make sure that that can happen. It's not even, my frustration is with the willingness to adopt an imposed model from central government. My frustration is at the instigator of that model. Central government itself doesn't have the guts right now to see that model through. It was central government that set the model, it was central government that set the timetable, it was central government that set the concept. And now, even beyond the 11th hour, they realise that the concept, the model, the timeline has simply not been thought through. Unlike this document, there has been no plan, no ambition, no intent to see the process through. A cynic might say that's a political decision. My frustration is I don't even think this government is that cynical. This government is simply unable to do the creative thinking, have the long-term strategic ambition required that will enable us as a local community and a wider default authority to take local responsibility and accountability within the timeframes that the central government originally set. I'm frustrated. This is a great document with a clear focus, a clear intent, and a very clear ambition for this part of Norfolk moving forwards. It's just a shame that this current government can't exhibit the same traits.
Lovely, thank you, Paul. Anybody else? Councillor Clowes and then Councillor Cowan, please.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Without wanting to repeat everything, I totally endorse what Bill and Paul have said already. But as far as I'm concerned, this is such a good document that the one thing that's going to be certain is that we know the mayor won't be here for at least a couple of years. But looking at what we've got in our hands now is something that we can go out and use, because the one thing for sure is it's going to be a bidding war. This was designed to get us to the forefront of a bidding war. And I think what we've got here is a superb piece of work that will put us front and centre to try and achieve that, Chairman, whatever is thrown at us over the next time. Because whatever comes, we're going to be there to deliver this document in the short term, as well as it having the vision, as Paul and Bill have said, to be there for our residents for decades to come, be it through skills or equal opportunities for everyone. And I will be supporting this. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, colleagues. Everything's really been said, but I think it's just worth reflecting a little bit. The dictionary definition for devolution is quite important. It's a process that allows for greater autonomy and self-governance at the regional level while maintaining the central government's overall sovereignty in the UK. And that's what this is all about. And if we think back to this council and what this council has achieved in the time that I've been a councillor and had a role to play, we've actually done exactly that. We've had to pick up the pieces where central government has been unable to, or central facilities have been unable to provide us with the infrastructure. Look at the power at Snetterton, for example, and that forms part of one of the key planks of this particular document. You know, this part of the world for years, and it's an historical issue, for years has been devoid of the sheer mechanics of delivering industry, business, enterprise, and entrepreneurship, because there's been a significant lack of investment in this part of Norfolk. But we've shown the way, we've been able to do it, and this is the sort of precursor of what this document is helping to sort of formulate. I think it's absolutely essential that for a council that's punched above its weight for so long, a council that has no debt, a council that has low council tax, a council that has growth in its own economy, that is at the heart of what devolution for Norfolk and Suffolk is about. And let's not forget where we sit. This is a precursor to a Norfolk and Suffolk combined county authority. It's about, what, 3,500 square miles, something like that. I forget the size of it. It's enormous. And Breckland sits right at the heart, the geographical heart of that combined authority in Thetford. We've heard for as long as I've been a councillor how Thetford really almost feels part of Suffolk rather than part of Norfolk because of its proximity to the county boundary, how it looks for Bury St Edmunds in Suffolk for its health services. What better place for the combined authority to find itself a centre of gravity in a county the size of Norfolk and Suffolk combined authority than Thetford? It has a railway station, it has major road links, it has a population that's growing, and it already looks both north and south in East Anglia for its services. So I fully endorse the document that we have before us. It's a very, very constructive piece of work, and my thanks go to those who put it together, because it does elucidate everything that we here in Breckland have stood for at least for the last 25 years. Thank you, Chairman.
Lovely, thanks, Phil. I've got Chairman of Scrutiny, Councillor Clark, and then Councillor Kyber, please.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. I've read through the document, the investment prospectus, which I find both ambitious and constructive. Speaking in a personal capacity, but also as a long-standing Dereham councillor, I'm very pleased with a lot of the aims and the enormous evidence gone into producing this prospectus. In particular, keen to see the mention of the Dereham link, which attended the opening, and that's really a sort of model for other areas. I think that's worth mentioning. And you divided the document into long-term wins and quick wins, and we know that not everything can happen all at once. I was pleased to see the mention of the Dereham Town regeneration programme. Also, it's not an early deliverable. The fact it's in there is as a statement of what we should and could be doing is welcome. Unusually, I can't find anything in the document that I personally at this stage can disagree with, which may surprise some people. The only question that I have was on page 15 of the document, it refers to the revolving fund and 15 blight sort of areas that we can get improvement in. I may have missed it. I don't know if these have been expanded in this document or elsewhere, or that's going to be further work in progress. But other than that, I'd like to commend the Cabinet for the constructive approach you're taking in putting this in the hands of the whoever becomes the mayor in their in-tray. Thank you.
Lovely. Thanks. Councillor Kyber, please.
Thank you, Sam. I've got 3 points. Under item 1.6, the mayoral authority, it says, as soon as possible, which is wonderfully imprecise and suggested as 2028. What lead-in time of an actual date will enable competent preparation for the mayoral authority? My second point is, I think the wording of the recommendation should be NSCCA, not NSCAA. NSCCA is used in para 3.6, and the C in the C says combined councils. And item 3, if justice is to be truly devolved, will the combined authority be able to retain trial by jury? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Kybird. I think as justice isn't on the list at the moment, I think that that's still a matter for central government, but it just shows you how far our ambitions reach. I pick up your point about the typo. Thank you very much. We will get that amended. And in terms of the lead-in time, I mean, these projects that Breckland are championing at the bit, we'd like to see delivered as soon as possible. Given the government's vacillation at the moment about exactly what's going to happen, and I understand there's going to be a meeting on Tuesday with the leader of the County Council and Suffolk County Council with the Minister about how devolution is going to proceed. What I would say is that it is very important that the government understands that it is devolution and not delegation. That is what's proposed. This is the proper transfer of powers rather than a request for local government to carry out the bidding of central government. And I think in the past, there have been specific pots of money that have been very tightly tied to delivering particular outcomes. That's not devolution. And this fiscal autonomy, which is one of the lists, one of the things on here that we propose, is going to be key to it. And I think that I would like to see that delivered as soon as possible.
Brilliant, thank you. Councillor King, did you want to come in?
Just very briefly and on a lower scale, I love reading these documents. They do come across very positive and ambitious and everything. The only point I would just raise, like the CCA point, is that health, well-being and justice are mentioned on what is page 9 of the agenda. And I was interested because I've worked in law for some time. What mention of justice is there? And the last bullet point actually ends on a cliffhanger. It says these things will provide a holistic approach to crime and reform when combined with what? If we don't know what with, then I suggest those 3 words might be deleted. But I was interested what it's combined with, and it goes straight on to energy and environment, which doesn't seem to be the answer. Thank you.
Thank you for your forensic eye for detail, Linda. I would expect nothing less from you. So I think we can delete the last three words of that paragraph. But we have delegated overall responsibility to the leader and the chief executive anyway as part of the. And I would also like to stress, in response to Councillor Clark's point, this is a living document. So we will continue to amend and update it and keep it relevant going forward until such time there is a mayor or an authority that we can negotiate with. But I think if Cabinet passes this today, it gives us a firm foundation on what to build to build on going forwards.
Lovely. No further questions or comments. Just a thanks from me, Bill, to you and your team of officers pulling this together, and just building on the successful work which Councillor Clausen led on the future Breckland. I think that put us front and centre within Breckland and Norfolk and the region around that co-design with thousands of our residents, businesses, the voluntary sector, and visitors to Breckland around what was the needs of our 5 individual market towns, but then that overarching position for Breckland. We've seen those successes come forward, whether it's around the launch of the Thetford Education Campus, that shovel in the ground with the improvement to energy provision within Snetterton. We've seen the launch of the Watton Digital Media Centre now. We've got the work orders starting within Dereham Town Centre Regeneration Programme, the Transport Hub. We've got the link gone live, and so much has taken place in Swaffham. All of that was Breckland enabling others to help us co-design that vision of place. And I think this document here absolutely builds upon this and allows that shovel-ready programme of those short, medium and long-term challenges, but also those opportunities across a plethora of things, from energy, roads, rail, water, as you mentioned, such an important part for our agri-sector, digital, and building on some of the wider challenges around what's our economy of place, what's that skills, training, that access to housing and housing delivery. All so important. I think frustratingly, as Councillor Hewitt and you alluded to, disappointed this government has lacked ambition and trust in local place leaders to deliver a devolved administration commencement of May 2026, but ensuring that if government is going to short-term fund some early intervention, that actually Breckland is ready to enable that. Thank you to your wider position, which Councillor King highlighted and alluded to, along with Councillor Kybird, on that long list of things Breckland wants to see devolved. And I think your opening remarks are absolutely spot on. We have greater ambition than this government, and I think pages 8, 9 and 10 absolutely reflect we want more than this government is offering today around the development. So as much as government has frustratingly delayed us, that allows us further time to actually allow them to put their money where their mouth is, and that trust in the people of Norfolk and Suffolk and local government and our local leaders to devolve more from Whitehall. And I think those areas around the environmental position, sports, health, justice are all those integral parts which actually shouldn't be controlled by Whitehall and Westminster, but absolutely should be controlled in a mayoral combined authority within Norfolk with that local leader. So thank you to you and your team. More work we need to do, but we're ready for whoever receives this money, whether that is the County of Norfolk or the combined County of Norfolk and Suffolk. We'll find out this week, as you alluded to, from the Norfolk and Suffolk leaders, but we're ready to make sure that the residents of and businesses of Breckland can continue to thrive. So thank you for your hard work in pulling this together. So colleagues, we've got those 2 recommendations which are contained within the report of page 3. All those in favour? Thank you very much. That's unanimous. So move on to item 7, which is local government reorganisation and Norfolk and Suffolk statutory consultation response. Councillor Borrett to present, please.
Thank you very much, Leader. And thank you, Cabinet, for your support on the previous item, which I think is going to be a absolutely key part. It just shows that even though there is a lot of turbulence in local government, that we are still clearly thinking about the future, and that a strategic vision is vital if we are to deliver the best we can for the residents of Norfolk. So this is the other half of the coin. Most people quite understandably conflate local government reorganisation and devolution because they were both announced together and they're both to do with your council. But they are actually two quite different things. So as members are aware, the government announced an intention to reorganise two-tier government in England. And here in Norfolk, we were not exempted from that request. And the government has asked for Norfolk to come up with what they think we should replace the existing structures with. And as everybody is aware, the members of Breckland Council cross-party decided that they preferred the status quo because Breckland delivers outstanding results, and I'm very proud to have been part of Breckland's delivery over the time I've been elected. However, the government said that the status quo is not an option we can consider. So given that that was off the table, this council decided that they preferred the option of 3 unitaries for Norfolk. That went forward to the government along with 2 other options produced by other parties, and the government has now requested a consultation on the 3 options on the table. They haven't judged the options, unusually, so they're consulting on all of the options, even though they may decide that some of the options are unsuitable, but that's where we are. They produced a consultation document which is running as we speak and will run until early January. Every member of Breckland may respond to that consultation, but there are a number of defined consultees that the government has listed, which are detailed in the report in front of you today. And one of them is obviously Breckland Council. And so this is our formal response to the government consultation. Now, the final decision on local government reorganisation will be made by the Minister alone. So we are only seeking to influence the Minister's decision rather than direct the Minister, because the Minister will decide what they want. And I have to say that the structure of the consultation is somewhat constrained, which is a shame. And the earlier consultation that the government launched with Surrey, I felt was a much better document, but this is much smaller. But anyway, it's not our consultation. We're responding to the government consultation, and we have listed our responses in the paper. I think it is, I will just go into a little bit about why, but I do think it is important for everybody in Norfolk who feels that they have a stake in local government should respond. We have championed the causes of the parish and town councils to be included in the government list as statutory consultees on this. However, the government declined to include them. That doesn't mean that they can't respond, and we have had a number of parish and town forums to talk to them about the details and answer any questions, and we have given them the various links. So they can respond, but unfortunately the government has declined to give them the weight that we would hope that they would have had as important local entities. I'm hoping that most parish and town councils do respond. The 3 options on the table are the 3 unitaries, that is East Norfolk, West Norfolk and a Greater Norwich unitaries. The members of Breckland felt, and I will just list the key attributes of this, because this is the basis of our proposals. It creates 3 unitaries that reflect the different and distinct geographies of Norfolk and are designed around functional and coherent economic zones, Greater Norwich, East Norfolk and West Norfolk. It's tailored to service models in each unitary, allowing greater focus on the issues and opportunities that are aligned with local need, be that urban deprivation in Greater Norwich, coastal challenges in East Norfolk and rural isolation, for example, in West Norfolk. The proposal focuses on the possibilities for transformation with a focus on early intervention and a prevention agenda. Balances financial sustainability and efficiencies whilst retaining levels of democratic accountability and high quality service deliver. Is informed by extensive engagement and stakeholder input whilst demonstrating strong political backing with 8 out of the 10 Norfolk MPs cross-party from the Greens to Labour to the Conservatives and the Liberal Democrats supporting the proposal. The model creates balanced representation within Norfolk and Suffolk Mayoral Combined County Authority, the MCCA, avoiding dominance by any single area, ensuring that urban, rural and coastal voices are all heard. So given that, turning to the recommendations, I'm asking that Cabinet supports Breckland's proposed approach to responses to the statutory consultation on local government reorganisation in Norfolk and Suffolk, and 2, that Cabinet delegates the final authority to the Chief Executive in consultation with the Leader of the Council to finalise and submit Breckland Council's response to the consultation. And I will take on any comments that members make. Thank you.
Lovely, thanks, Councillor Borrett. Questions, comments? I've got Councillor Hewitt and then Councillor Cowan, please.
Thank you, Sam. Bill, I have no doubt that the best response to the LGR is just don't do it. Why destroy a system that has worked well and consistently well in a diverse local community that is not Manchester and it is not London, that has unique needs, that spans rural, town and everything in between, and that doesn't reflect an ideology of centralisation to the lowest denominator that just levels down for the purpose of control. But as you say, that horse has bolted. If we have to embark on this costly, divisive and destructive process, at least we should ensure that democracy and the democratic process does not lose out solely to money and the lack of accountability that it drives. Breckland is unique. We are a unique rural district with unique needs and unique challenges. We are not Norwich, we are not Yarmouth. The current response focuses on keeping local issues local. It's costed, it's measured, and it focuses on the uniqueness of this and the surrounding districts closest to us and our residents and our businesses that live and work within them. I fully support the power of 3, and I would encourage all consultees who have not done this to take part within the consultation process. I have looked at it. Cynic might suggest that the Minister has already decided on the outcome, but we must have our voices heard and recognised in that isolated ivory tower in London.
Lovely, thank you. Phil, please.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Bill, for that presentation. One of the key facts that seems to be missing in any consultation or any discussion or any consideration of how we change local government is actually how people are represented in a geographical area. And our proposal clearly states that by splitting the county of Norfolk into 3 parts, each with their own specific identities, means in fact that individual residents and businesses will be able to access respective councillors of whatever persuasion whenever the unitary authority is stood up. The concern that I have heard in the various villages that I represent in my ward, and also from other interested parties in some of the discussions and meetings I attend in my capacity as a cabinet member, is specifically about that. It is all how can we access our political representative, whom we may not have elected, but they are still our political representative, if we are considering a unitary authority of the size and scale of the county of Norfolk. It's a real problem for people out there, understanding how they can talk to someone locally who understands their concerns, their issues, and is able to advise them on such simple things as collection of bins or support if they're vulnerable. Now, at the moment here in Breckland, we actually do that very well. And I'm sure that other parts of the districts in the county do exactly what we do. But a unitary authority, the sheer size and scale of the county of Norfolk, with its transportation difficulties alone, travelling from King's Lynn to Yarmouth around the north of Norfolk on a summer's day, or even a winter's day for that matter, will take the best part of a day. How can local government respond in a way that will be meaningful to the residents and the businesses if the unitary authority is of that scale? I fully endorse our proposal for the three model. It does exactly what it says on the tin. It gives everybody the best possible outcome for their council tax, which they will be paying. And I would wholeheartedly, therefore, support this proposal. Thank you, Chairman.
Lovely. Thanks, Phil. Any other comments? Councillor Clausen, please.
If I could, Chairman. Bill, what's the impact on the residents of Breckland in the pocket if we did have the single unit? Because I believe the county did a little piece of work which did indicate what that could be.
One of the consequences of local government reorganisation is council tax harmonisation. And at the moment, depending on where you live, your council tax varies quite considerably. Breckland has the cheapest council tax of all the districts in Norfolk, in fact, of all the districts in England, something that we're very proud of. For example, in the city council in Norwich, the council tax is more than double the amount. So logic dictates that if the council tax levels across Norfolk are to be harmonised into one council, that some council tax areas it would have to increase, and Breckland being the lowest would be, the residents of Breckland would be seeing the largest increase in their council tax across all of the councils, and maybe in the city the council tax would go down. And that would mean that the people of Breckland would be subsidising decisions that had been made in Norwich, and they would not see a corresponding increase in the services that are offered to match the increase in their council tax. One of the issues about the three is that Breckland would be merging with King's Lynn and West Norfolk and a tiny bit of South Norfolk, and historically the council tax levels in the West have been much lower. So we would hope, and it would be the decision of the new authorities, that the council tax would be lower here in Breckland as a result of the three than it would be if we had a single county unitary.
Lovely, thank you. Any other comments at all? Once again, Bill, thank you to you and your colleagues for pulling this together, but also the stewardship you've had around supporting our other district colleagues in this submission. And I think actually the power of three is absolutely front and centre, and we've heard some rhetoric from others at quarters in the county that you can't disaggregate those services at a county level. Well, you absolutely can. You've seen the leader of Surrey County Council, Councillor Tim Oliver, who was the previous chairman of the National County Councils Network, make a submission for two. within his place, absolutely highlighting front and centre you can disaggregate services at a county level. We've got the Senior Vice Chair of the Local Government Association, Councillor Kevin Bentley, the leader of Essex County Council, making a submission for 3, once again highlighting you can disaggregate. And of course, let's pick up on Councillor Cowan's and Hewitt's point around the sheer size, scale and geography of Norfolk. We are bigger than Essex, we are bigger than Surrey, we are the biggest or the second biggest county in the country, and actually therefore the geography alone poses a real challenge around how you deliver those operational, but more importantly, those strategic services. We've seen last week the commentary from the CQC around Norfolk County Council's social care, and some of those areas where they've recommended areas for improvement are things which hyper-local government we do day in, day out, whether it's on our previous submission on what devolution should look like, or the work we're doing around our Inspiring Communities programme led by Councillor Ashby. It all has to be done at a local level with residents front and centre. I think our submission proves that time in and time out. So thank you for the hard work for that. You're absolutely right that this is us attempting to lobby government, but government will make its decision in isolation, sadly. But I hope that our responses, plus all the other responses from not just this council, but Breckland and Norfolk as a whole, proves to be a really compelling argument that 3 is the way we should be moving forward with local government reorganisation, which is very sadly being imposed upon us. So thank you again to you and your team for that. So we've got the 2 recommendations which Councillor Borrett has presented. All those in favour? Thank you very much. That's unanimous. So we'll move on to item 8 then, which is the consultation on the implementation of a public space protection order for the town of Dereham. Councillor Ashby to present, please.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning, everybody. Colleagues, I am bringing before you today the report of the proposed implementation of a public spaces protection order for Dereham Town Centre, starting with approval to commence statutory consultation. Members will be aware that Dereham has experienced increasing levels of antisocial behaviour in and around the town centre over recent years. The impact on residents, visitors and local businesses has been significant, and this is clearly expressed at a community engagement event on the 3rd of December this year. It is evident that the current situation is undermining both the sense of safety and the vitality of the town centre. This council is firmly committed to working with our partners to address these issues in a proportionate and effective way. The report outlines the statutory framework for the public spaces protection orders, which were introduced under the Anti-Social Behaviour, Crime and Policing Act of 2014. As members will know, the PSPO enables a local authority to place restrictions or requirements on activities in a defined public areas where they are having or are likely to have a persistent, unreasonable and detrimental effect on the quality of life of the local community. The flexibility of a PSPO means that it can be tailored to local circumstances and can include multiple restrictions, such as prohibiting street drinking or other behaviours associated with the anti-social behaviour we are seeing in Dereham. Breaches will primarily be enforced by the police, but can also be enforced by authorised council officers or appropriate partner agencies, and may result in a fixed penalty or ultimately prosecution. The purpose of today's report is not to agree the final terms of the PSPO, but rather to seek Cabinet approval to undertake the necessary statutory consultation. This consultation will allow residents, businesses, visitors, landowners, the police and other community representatives such as Dereham Town Council to comment on the issues they are experiencing and the potential introduction of a PSPO in the town centre. A 6-week consultation period is being proposed, with opportunities both online and written submissions to be made. This process is essential to ensuring that any future order is evidence-based, proportionate and reflective of the genuine concerns of our community. We will also help us better understand the nature and frequency of the antisocial behaviour taking place and what actions might be required, both from a council and from a partners to address it effectively. So in summary, the recommendation option is to proceed with a statutory consultation. Doing nothing will fail to recognise the scale of the issues currently affecting Dereham and would not reflect our responsibilities nor our commitment to tackling antisocial behaviour and safeguarding the well-being of our communities. Thank you, Chair.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Councillor Ashby. Steve, do you have anything else to add at all? No, thank you. Any questions, comments from colleagues? I've got Councillor Hewitt, then I've got Councillor Webb, please, then Councillor Kybird, then Councillor Clark.
Thank you, Chair. I absolutely support this report as presented. I attended the meeting at Durham Football Club and listened very clearly and in detail to concerns expressed by those residents who attended. The agenda was very specific, the focus of the agenda was very specific, and a lot of the conversations were very specific around the location of NR19. There were some other voices that were generally expressing dissatisfaction about the current state of a number of areas within the town of Durham at the same time. In its current form, this PSPO covers a specific location for a specific evidence-based situation and reflects a commitment to take specific actions within our function and responsibilities as a district council. Some may well argue that we're not going far enough, but it's not within our legal remit as a district council to solve every societal, social, demographic challenge facing the residents of Durham or any other town or village within our community. And I say that after our own community of Shipton faced drunken, abusive and antisocial behaviour over the weekend by individuals who were identified to the police and also to this council through our CCTV network. So I do support this PSPO. I look forward to the undertaking of the consultation process to provide the evidence base behind it. But I also look forward to working with community leaders, Breckland and other partner organisations and agencies to follow up this and ensure that the actions are taken, if necessary, to ensure that our residents in all of our communities will feel and are maintained safely.
Thank you very much. Councillor Webb, please.
Thank you. Most of you know that I'm a ward member as well as an executive member for Durham. In some ways, I find it very sad that we're having to bring this into force. However, Durham has got to the stage where we need to do something, and doing this consultation period will highlight what needs to be done. I'm asking all our residents and our shopkeepers and everyone to actually engage with the consultation period. It's really, really important that our voice gets heard. On top of this, I will say that previous to the consultation, this meeting, there's been much work going on regarding the issues in Durham. It's not a new thing that's just popped up. It's not just about one hotel. It's about a far wider thing. And yes, Durham is not the only town to be suffering from this side of things. But as I said, at the end of the day, we need to look at where we are, what we're going to do right, what we're going to make better for our residents, better for our shopkeepers, better for our visitors to the town. We need to make sure that Durham is a safe place for all to come to and encourage people to come to, rather than be, oh, you don't want to go there. You know, it's not the way we should be looking at it. So I welcome this side of things. Additionally, I'm very pleased that the report actually says about supporting giving additional support to people who might need it. Some of these people who are suffering from drug and alcohol abuse. We have tried very hard, and I know our teams here try to support people that they have reported to them, to community support officers. They go out, they try and support. Sometimes it is that you can lead a horse to water, but the horse won't drink. It is what it is. But I'm confident that the teams have done everything they can for the residents that they know about and the people that have been referred to them. You know, it's something, but we need other organisations to do the same and to work in partnership with us to do the same. I look forward to the meeting in the new year. This is just one thing out of lots of things that can be done to improve the situation. I look forward to the new year where future actions will come forward and future meetings to look to improve Durham and perhaps best practice in other areas which we could take forward. I thank Councillor Ashby and the officers for the hard work in getting this process started. Encourage everybody to join in, and I fully support the introduction of the PSPO, and thank you very much for listening. Thank you.
Lovely. Thanks, Councillor Webb. Councillor Kyber, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Using Thetford as sort of past experience, if you like, central to the success of the consultation is a proposals map, which isn't part of this paper. But I would make the point that the town centre for planning purposes may not be the same as that for a PSPO. And in particular, if the map is wrong, you move the problem to fringe areas. So I think some work needs to be done on agreeing that map. I don't know with whom.
Thank you very much for raising that. I think it's really important, and the paper covers this to some degree as well, is that we are not rigid in terms of the problem area, and it will be data-led. And picking up on what Councillor Webb said, this is not just about moving a problem elsewhere, because the problem will therefore continue to exist. This is about prevention activities, this is about empathy, this is about understanding, this is about signposting, this is about using all the tools in our toolbox to ensure that we reduce and eradicate as much of the antisocial behaviour as we possibly can.
Lovely. Thank you. Councillor Clark, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Firstly, I'd like to thank Councillor Ashby and the Cabinet for taking this prompt initial action on getting this order in place. Like Councillor Webb, I also attended the event on the 3rd of December at the football ground in my capacity both as a resident and also as a ward councillor who does actually cover a part of what's recognised as the town centre. I also happen to be one of the councillors, there probably maybe one other one, who actually lives nearest to the town centre as such, and actually walk past NR19 a number of areas and walk around the town where I'm approached regularly by residents. I recognise this is only one step. We have to look at the data, look at what's happening in other towns, and it isn't a silver bullet, as the Councillor Webb has referred to the other things which are going on. When it refers to the town centre, obviously, I think as Councillor Kyber has just alluded to, each town will have a different shape. So, for example, the High Street in Dereham, in a sense, might not be regarded as part of the town centre if it ran the square, but there are all sorts of areas where activity may take place. Obviously, I think it's recognised in the work that I've done with the police and SNAP is that if you have an order which is too wide or too narrow, that's got consequences in pushing the displacing activity somewhere else. What I think it does demonstrate are two things. One is that also we have to make sure as a council and as individual councillors that we're actually communicating what Breckland is doing already and what it's trying to do, which isn't always, I think, understood or appreciated fully. Perhaps that's a communication problem, but that's for us to solve so that that lesson is coming across there. We look at the data and it does say quite clearly in a 1.7, 1.8, 1.9, any public area to which the public has got access. So some of that will be data-led, and obviously I would urge every councillor, particularly obviously local ward representatives, to take their part in the consultation. But we also need to look forward, and I think the community organisers are looking for action around March as a sort of further feedback meeting, but in terms of linking up with all our other partners so that all the people are in the same room in terms of any action group at the same time. But obviously we've got 6 weeks to go in the consultation. I thank Councillor Ashby for what he's put together so far on the officers, and I've already had a long conversation with Councillor Ashby. Thank you, Chairman.
Lovely. Thank you. I've got Councillor King and then Councillor Borrett, please.
I'm just going to say briefly that I too was at that meeting. I was very concerned to hear members of the public talking about how bad things had got, to the extent of women being afraid to come out of places where they worked in the evenings or even the afternoons, to walk home alone. And I used to live in the town centre, although I don't now, and I can remember times when things got a little rough. New Year's Eve, about 30 years ago, that sort of thing, but it was never on a daily basis like this. And that came over very strongly at the meeting, at which I have to say publicly, I think our leader and our officers spoke up very well in a somewhat daunting room, chock-a-block full of people, about the fact that it wasn't just NR19, it was the larger area, and how much we hope to do, but how many things there are that we can't do. One thing they won't be able to say, I'm pleased to see, is that we heard it all, went away and did nothing. I congratulate you all on the speed with which this has been brought forward, and will encourage anybody who talks to me about it to get on and join in the consultation so that it succeeds. The map, I think, is very important. Getting it right to start with, even though possibly it can be adjusted at a later stage, is a very important thing, because we do want to contain the problem and depress the activities rather than spread them further. Thank you.
Lovely, thanks, Linda. Councillor Borrow, please.
Yes, thank you very much. I just wanted to pick up the comments made by Councillor King in that, and thank the Cabinet member and the leader for their very quick response in this matter. And I think it just goes to demonstrate the importance of proper local government. I've been banging that drum, but I think this is a really good example how we aren't a million miles away from the people we represent. You can have the leader of the council come to a meeting on a particular local issue, and you can get results, and that's exemplified by the fact that we have this paper in front of us today at full cabinet. And I absolutely support the cabinet members' endeavours in this area, and I would like to reiterate the points that the other councillors have made, that please do get involved with the consultation so that we deliver something that is right for the problem. Thank you.
Lovely, thanks, colleagues, and just a thanks to the team for putting this together within 12 days since that public meeting. Myself and Rob and Steve, absolutely, not just the anxiety in the room, but that genuine concern for personal safety for individuals, their families, their children, local businesses around that wider area. That was heard loud and clear, and that's why we made that commitment to establish that Dereham task force. But what we could achieve quickly is what you've seen today with this PSPO consultation coming forward, that 6-week window, whereas everyone who's spoken today is encouraging everybody to come forward with that local intelligence and that information. We can only work on the data and intelligence we have and our partners provide, but that local intelligence, which we heard loud and clear from everybody in that room, and subsequently has been really important to allow us to shape what our future response is going to be. I know that many in the room were immensely frustrated with some of our responses and comments, but I think on reflection, the public of Dereham will understand that this isn't just Breckland's responsibility. This is multi-agency, and that's why this task force and our officers are trying hard to ensure we've got the right people coming forward from those key partners, whether that is health and primary care, mental health, social care, youth services, our own housing team, the wider voluntary sector of Dereham, the police, and sports and recreation groups will all form a part of that integral partnership approach, as well as my ask to residents in Dereham to make sure that they're all there and representing it. What we can't have is that task force becoming a talking shop. Those individuals who turn up need to have the mandate, the budget to get stuff done, and to not just speak about what the challenges are, but also what those opportunities to address those challenges. The PSPO is the first part of that. We'll continue to make sure we're being transparent in all of our activities. Myself and the officers have received further communication from residents who attended the meeting and who didn't. We will continue to respond to those at pace, and ask, while I've got the chairman of scrutiny present, is that once that task force is established, Councillor Clark, we will be bringing it forward to your commission with your support on a regular basis to ensure the governance of that is reported. As with any public body, you have the right to call them into your commission. I would ask that early on that task force has the ability to have a standing item every quarter in that space. The challenge for us is to make sure that we hold Norfolk Constabulary to account if this PSPO is adopted, to make sure that they brigade their resources effectively. I think that they learned a lot from that public meeting as well. We heard some of their challenges around lack of resource. I think that's fair to say across all of the public sector, but we will make sure that we continue to do what we can in our own gift. And I know that the Winter Action Plan launched by Councillor Crane and Councillor Ashby already saw the start of our anti-spike drinking campaign launched in Dereham. We're using our our Breckland street wardens effectively, and we're moving forward further, as you saw at full council last week, to expand that offer with more resource, which we'll use across the whole of Breckland, including our villages and our towns. But Councillor Ashby, thank you for bringing this forward. If there are no further questions or comments, you've got the one recommendation there for us to proceed with the necessary consultation to introduce a public space protection order for the Dereham Town Centre. All those in favour? Thank you very much. That's unanimous. So all the three substantive items for today's meeting. The date of the next meeting will be Monday the 12th of January 2026 here at 9:30 in the conference centre at Elizabeth House, and